feel the pain of your thoughts inside, driving you insane. Now another love gone bad again, you're bad again. That you're on your own, hope you feel the pain.
God, I love to see you, Rusty and Skimmy. It's such a sigh of relief when, you know, like, I love Tubes. I love Tubes. There's another guy too, but no, I can't remember who he is at the moment. He's, I think he's got the day off. He's talking about tanks or something. I don't know. He's bloody splitting his job all over the place. But, you know, the true ones are here on the Friday, you know, taking us into the weekend, and that's you guys. And you're taking us into match 3 too. Gravitas taking on Mammoth. What are your thoughts on this matchup, and which way do you think it's going to bloody go, Rusty?
I mean, last time these teams faced each other, Mac, it went the way of Mammoth. There was a bit of a draft gapping in that game as well, so it's hard to look at it and say there's a clear advantage in terms of players, in terms of rosters. I'm always going to say Gravitas is the favorites, but if I was to give you a percentage, Mac, it's not a high percentage different. Like maybe 60-40 at best.
Okay.
For Gravitas.
So it's rough to say one of these is an upset, because we know that going into this, Mammoth, they at least won last time. Gravitas have been looking good against a lot of teams, but can they carry this into the Mammoth lineup? Speaking of Gravitas, let's have a quick look at their lineup as well. Skimmy, do you want to run us through and see which lineup we're actually got in the server today?
Yeah, they've definitely been able to flex their might and showcase that multiple members can play different roles at any given time, and they've showcased us also that they are quite willing to play multiple different drafts and comps too. So quite like this composition. We've got Kyosi in the mid lane, loves to play this Ari, loves to cause you know, Rusty as many headaches as possible, and Sepher showcasing that he can play the hard carries like the Camilla and Irelia, but isn't too afraid from playing the bruisers too. So compositionally wise, you know, coming into this one, it was always going to be a tough ask, kind of like what we asked Legacy before about what is it like coming into a condensed season, but they've shown that, you know, give them a few moments and they definitely can pop off. It's just the refinement and the time is probably the biggest enemy against them right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with both teams, right? And I'm sure we'll see that, and we'll talk about it when Mammoth's on your screen. But, like, even in these games, and you're looking at Gravitas in their last game against Peace, there's moments where you watch their play and you're like, that's not bad. Like, that's not that bad. But it's putting the whole package together against anyone that's above them on the ladder where they start to falter. And, you know, a lot of the teams just above them are like mid-game, maybe weak. For Gravitas, even weaker, where they start to lose to those teams like Legacy and then fall apart.
Yeah, look, that's the thing. There's a lot of glimmers of hope with them, but the same can also be said for Mammoth as well. We've seen moments of brilliance from these teams as well. Namely, the other day when we saw the Ziggs pulled out by Way, which I think we all loved. You know, it was out of left field. No one really expected it, but it almost kind of worked, didn't it, Skimmy?
Yeah, and I think this team, as much as Gravitas have shown that they can play a few different things, I think Mammoth have shown that they can play even more, and maybe a little bit more of that solo queue style, right? They played global compositions, Fasting Sinner, Talon in the mid lane, for instance, run it back with GP topside as well, which has been a bit of a standout. I don't see too much of that. And as you say, the Ziggs. So this this roster probably even more hard to prepare against, given that, you know, you have a meta for a reason, and we're seeing a lot of that for the right reasons too. But, you know, this squad will throw those curveballs, which, you know, some coaches might say, it doesn't seem to matter, they're not that good of a champ. But quite honestly, it must be a bit of a nightmare in the back of their mind, thinking, what could they try and throw at us that might give us a few headaches in this game?
Oh, I don't like headaches, unfortunately. But what I did notice there is Jungle Man's actually in and Buggy's out for this game. So we've actually really liked what we've seen from Buggy. Haven't seen a whole lot of Jungle Man. So I guess we're open to impressions, and it's really a time to step up for both these teams, you know. It's, if you cop this L, you're eliminated. There is no chance of making the playoffs for these teams. So there's a whole lot of pressure going into this match tonight, Rusty.
Is that confirmed that Jungle Man is playing? Over?
It was on the lineup graphic.
It
is confirmed in my ear.
Okay, it is confirmed. Cool. So the reason that I ask that to confirm is, like, I want to be as respectful to Jungle Man as possible, but the sample size that we have of him is mostly just being absolutely demolished by other junglers, and like, I mean that respectfully, right? Kevy's first game, we all remember the 10-0 Graves running around, but no one remembers the lane opponent or the jungle opponent that got absolutely stopped and had nothing available to him. That was Jungle Man. So he's had a pretty rough entry to the league, and I'm happy that he's getting extra chances still, because that shows that he, you know, while he did get beaten around, he hasn't stopped. He's still trying to improve and get back on the stage.
Look, you said nobody remembered it, but it seems like one person certainly remembered it, and that's you, Rusty. Speaking of people that are unforgettable, we have Nat T down on the sidelines. She's doing a great job with all the interviews lately, and I think you've got another one lined up for us.
I do. I'm loving these really, loving it, like, entries into this segment. Thank you, Mac. You're just too sweet. But I will be joined by Piglet and Shyfrit. Thank you both so much for joining me. I need to ask the most important thing off the bat. This game is probably the most important one we have today. Whoever loses does unfortunately lose the opportunity to make playoffs. So I want to know how you guys are feeling coming into this one. What's the extra pressure, and what are what are the expectations of coming into this one? If you want to start first, Piglet.
Well, expectations are basically just to beat them, because we are technically better players than them, even in solo queue or just anywhere else. There's not too much pressure, but again, it's just like we haven't been performing against like the mid pack of the team, so it's kind of like we are losing a bit of like mental in that sense. But against people like that are lower than us and we think we are better than them, we should be winning.
When you say like you're losing the mental a little bit, is it that you guys don't have the confidence, or like where is that sitting with you all down there?
It's a bit of lack of experience. It's kind of like every game we play, we're learning quite a lot. It's just like finishing games out, it's quite hard, especially if we're getting like small leads over the map. It's quite hard to translate like that into like as a team effort, and yeah, it's kind of like there are things that we are working on and we're trying to improve. So yeah.
Of course, and could be the game that you show how much you've improved. But Shyfrit, on the other side, what about you guys? Where's the pressure sitting over at Mammoth for this game?
Well, I mean, I feel like the general team consensus is that, we beat this team before, so we're almost certain we can beat them again. Pressure-wise, I think the team is not feeling it that much. We're relatively confident, at least for this game. I think we just need to focus up and focus on improving more for the rest of the split.
It sounds like both of you, I mean, for obvious reasons, taking this very serious. Does that mean we're going to see more traditional draft picks coming out of the both of you? Or is this something where we might get another random way champ?
Well, I think we might have something planned, something a little spicy, but just depends how the draft goes for us, I think. Maybe you guys will be able to see something.
What about you, Piglet? Are you guys hoping to stick more to the meta, or are you going to pull out something wild too?
I mean, we always have like some spicy picks that we're always talking about and we want to try in scrims and all that kind of stuff, but then it's just like confidence on stage. It's just another matter, and also see how the draft goes.
Alrighty, the last thing I want to ask you guys before we get into this game is, where do you think you're playing compared to your expectations?
Who? At us?
Oh, anyone. Yeah, Piglet, you can start first. Sorry, I should have specified that one. That's my bad.
Yes, I mean, we are playing okay in my sense. Like we are like first year for all of us pretty much, and it's quite fun. It's like quite kind of good for like how we are playing. But I mean, there are things that we're just like we mess up on. Of course, like everyone sees it. There's things that happen during the game where it's just like you're not meant to be doing it because it's just like nerves and all that other kind of stuff that's happening. But yeah, I mean, I quite like the way that we're playing at the moment, and it's like it has improved a lot since week 1.
Oh, that's good to hear, and hopefully you could say that to your team and there's a little bit more confidence going around. But Shyfrit, what about you guys? What are your expectations compared to how you're actually playing?
Well, I feel like as a team, we've definitely improved a lot altogether, but I still don't feel like any of us are playing at our potential. Like, I feel like the players that we are a lot better than we're showing on stage. Because even in like scrims and practice, I feel like my team's just really, really good actually. We just need to show it on stage and, show up.
Well, look, this could be the game that you guys unlock that potential. But I wish you both best of luck, and thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
All right. So, all things considered, both of the boys think it's going to be a spicy matchup, and it's good to hear that Mammoth have something up their sleeves. Just hope it's not like cinnamon and low quality spice. Now, let's get into the predictions. Let's see where we're leaning, at least on the desk for this one. It looks like we've all gone for Gravitas. Okay.
Did we all, like including everyone not on air, did we all do Gravitas?
That's
yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's only because...
Can I change mine right now?
Just so I was going to say, it's only because the last time we did this, everyone went Gravitas and I was the only one... Oh, no, we both went Mammoth, right? And I checked, and this time everyone went Gravitas, so...
Okay. Mammoth won last time.
I know. I think Gravitas is just...
No,
like they talk all back in. Okay,
there we
let's
are.
go.
On the board. There he is. All right, cool.
I do think, though, that like Gravitas have been learning a lot. Again, not to say Mammoth haven't been, but I will say one thing. Even though they are both bottom of the ladder, they have supplied some really good League to watch, and that's probably down to the draft. I mean, one of the hardest things about League is that it's pretty consistent champs being picked over and over again, and then you get two teams like Gravitas and Mammoth that just pull the strangest stuff out, and it's so good to watch.
Well, let's have a strange segue straight into From the Fans. Get this one up quickly before we get into the game. What is it going to be? Okay, so it's not the OPGG review, but it is from Kukachute TV. At LCO, my boyfriend is going to hate me and potentially break up with me, but this is his stats, hashtag LCO. Okay, so I guess this leads into the OPGG review.
Oh,
boyfriend
no.
stats.
She's just put him on blast.
Uh-oh, still doing better than Mac, but uh-oh, Rusty, take it away.
Oh, God. Negative win rate, bronze 2.
Is there any way you can ever get out of bronze with this?
Stop playing all of those champions. Just pick one and stick to it. I don't know. Like, as it stands, this appears to be what we would call hard stuck, Nat. However, Misfortune has a very positive win rate, so why are you playing other stuff if that's your definitive most played? Just play the Misfortune.
And the Ashe as well.
I'm noticing a theme there as well, right? Big tendency to play bot lane. You can play Poppy in the support. I know you like to do that as well, Rusty. I would probably suggest maybe sticking to a handful of champions in one specific lane so you learn that lane inside out. Probably put a bit more time into watching educational videos as opposed to playing the game to pick up on tricks and tips and figure out matchups or lane states and rotations. You see us, we hear mostly Rusty and Juice talk about all the time about how it sort of affects the global theme of things, but there are definitely little tricks you can pick up that'll give you the advantage to climb out.
He buys control wards though, Mac, so he's a good player.
He does.
It's good, you know, all that vision, very important. And look, mate, if you are on the other team to me, make sure you run it down mid, because I need to get out of bronze as well. Now, that brings us to the game. So, ladies and gents, it is time for Gravitas taking on Mammoth. It's going to be a spicy one, so you better grab some milk in case it gets a little bit too hot in the mouth.
And with that being said, what a weird transition from the fans into here. And, well, Rusty, why don't you kick this one off?
I prefer yogurt for spicy things because you can just rest it on the tongue, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a distinct advantage. Yogurt kind of low-key OP. But let's talk about the draft, Skibby. We're already 6 fans and we've got our first pick of the gin. Shifrit seems to be preferential to this one as well. It is weird that we haven't gone for a jungler in the first 2 picks for the side of Mammoth yet. Perhaps wanting to see where Gravitas go because, again, it would be surprising to not see it locked in early. And, you know, a lot of junglers may have preferences. With a Hecarim, and with an Udyr, and with an Olaf gone, that does make me feel like it kind of forces the Lilia as the primary option. But the fact that they didn't pick it, maybe Jungle Man's got something going on there.
Yeah, and that's the big question, right? We keep referring to the point of what Mammoth can do, and they've thrown us a lot of confusing tactics in the past. They may just look to do it again here tonight, as they've gone for the Jhin. It's what they played last time and found success with by taking down Gravitas. Gravitas seem to have a big tendency towards the likes of the Lilia and the Hecarim, but they've gone for that one here today with the Xayah. Blitzing through this draft, no time to break down these picks one by one. It's like Mammoth looking to try and run things back with what found them success last time.
Yeah, I mean, straight into it, they're going to go for the hard farm here. Last time we saw these teams play, I believe it was the Mundo for Mammoth into a Karthus, so it was actually the opposite way. This time it's going to be the Lilia into the Karthus, so a little bit less engage, you know, for a champion like a Lilia. That's completely thrown me just because an Amumu was hovered, sorry.
It's a bait,
We've gone for the Xayah Rakan here, Skimmy, so take it away.
With that to hold on to, it's worth noting that Xayah has played the majority of his games as this fresh, that being banned away. His second most played has been the Rakan, pairs beautifully with the Xayah to give yourselves a fair bit of aggression and allows them to have this engage, which is really strong right off the bat, right? The fact that, you know, you can hit it with the Charm, you can guarantee the Lullaby, you can guarantee the Feather Storm. Plenty of CC from the first 3 picks, whereas as you say already, Rusty, Mammoth looking for the hard farm, looking for the big damage to stick and connect onto multiple members.
And so far we have a Lilia who can build a Zhonya's, a Xayah who can press her ultimate, and a Rakan who has a lot of mobility and can provide shields. So in terms of Nocturne's ease of access into team fighting, not as simple as he would perhaps like. In saying that, the Karthus, coupled with the Nocturne, provides a lot of value. You can't just use the Xayah ultimate to get out of a Nocturne ult because suddenly Karthus is raining death on you globally with his orbital lasers of doom.
Certainly does have a fair few of those. Would love to see maybe a little bit of an adaptation here from the Rakan to go for the Locket as opposed to the Shurelya's as well to make Jungle Man's life even that much harder once more. The shield could be really, really crucial here. As you touch on, a couple more bans going out. Morgana, just to try and make sure that if they have gone for this rather short-range all-in fight-heavy bot lane, that they don't get outpoked by the likes of a Caitlyn with an Enchanter. Ahri has been banned away as well because Kiyosei just loves the champion, maybe too much. So maybe Mammoth doing him a solid and forcing him to play something else here today. And Mammoth going to round out their composition now with the GP for even more globals. That's 3 globals now, Rusty, with a semi-global with the Bard's ult too.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone for the barge in bot lane. They're into a Xayah Rakan, though, so they can be picked apart pretty easily if they make any mistakes in positioning. It's very possible that they lose that lane really hard, but long range, you know, very pokey, complementary for the rest of the team composition. It's clear that that's the goal, right? Play for the comp. We're running into a situation again where you've gone for the Karma mid for Kiyosei. It's not the Sivir Hecarim style composition that we've seen before. Where my concern was Kiyosei going to be perhaps kind of irrelevant or forced into the only magic damage dealing on the team and has to go the support build because that's the meta. So this time, because you've got the Lilia, you know, they repair a lot of my concerns regarding that team composition. And they've also gone for the Sion as the last pick to round this out. So they've gone for a big, beefy frontline tank who can engage but isn't the most reliable source of that. You're looking at Rakan more than anything else, and perhaps flanks from the Sion, but he's into a Gangplank who very early into the game just annoys you. He's just a nuisance. Will push you in, will have priority, get the Sheen purchase. It's even worse, right? So there is a point where Sion will be fine, but I have a lot of concerns for the priority of the top side of the map to maybe enable Jungle Man to get things done.
Yeah, it's a good point worth mentioning, right? The fact is that that will be their sole front line, a big emphasis on him to get beefy, finally, that so he can lead the charge, so he can roam around the map, unlocking if the likes of Lily and Karma to do what they do best and pop off and show up just as well. But it does mean that you find yourself in a situation where, on the other hand, Mammoth have all these globals that they can target those side waves, that they can look to abuse you if you do overstretch, if they have good vision control themselves. Plenty of pick potential and the ability to force cross-map plays. We see it so often, right, with these teams where multiple plays happening at once. And given what they've brought together here with those 5 picks, we would say that they have the better hand of that.
Yeah, I mean, the global influence can be a serious impact on any team playing against it because it either plays on your mind or you forget about it and then suddenly you make mistakes, you know, because there's an extra 200 damage that's there from a Karthus. Or Nocturne gets priority in mid lane, he leaves into Fog of War and you can't win bot lane or top lane anymore just because he's missing. Like, he may not even be ganking. And the same thing can be said across the entire map here for Gravitas. So they have to play a very good vision-based League of Legends and pick their windows, pick their timings, play around the number game, right? Wherever Zeus is, they should be focusing, as level 1's already started off a bit odd.
So it looks to be the case here. A bit of a level 1 engage taking place right now as it's forcing Nectar to run away from that one. And it gives us a nice little segue in a moment to compose ourselves as we then get a chance to speak with the coach of Mammoth in Sally. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I want to start things off here by asking the most obvious question, right? Given the fact that both teams find themselves head-to-head and one team will have their dreams of making a late run towards the playoffs extinguished here. Has that added any extra degree of pressure, any more resources or prep work put into this particular match here tonight?
Well, no one on our end is really expecting to hit playoffs from this position, so it's mainly just wanting to secure 7th and not be last and having a decent showing.
And I suppose from that point onwards, it then ties in quite nicely to the fact that, you know, for a lot of these players, it is exposure. Obviously, time's against you with this condensed schedule. How's that been for a lot of these players? The fact that, you know, this is a bit of a weird season with the global circumstances, that you are forced to play as many matches as you are.
Yeah, well, everyone's really new as well, so it's been pretty rough. But like, I want to think they're doing a pretty good job for how new they all are. So I'm overall not unhappy with how it's went.
And would it be fair then to say, because we've seen from, as the games have gone by in the weeks too, a big variation on the comps and the identities. Has there been an identity solidified for the team that they're striving towards, or very much, you know, keep the identity from, or keep your own individual purpose from solo queue, bring in those champions and we'll make the most of it?
Yeah, I have a really big emphasis on drafting for comfort and still making like flexible and coherent team comps for the most part, so yeah.
And then on a final note then, talk to me a little bit about this game here today. Obviously we can see that you know, you've got a lot of globals. What is the game plan? Are we looking at multiple fights at multiple moments, or really looking to, you know, lock down a key area of the map and just hit them with the wombo combo?
Yes, we're playing for numbers at all stages, so if we have more numbers we should always win, and we have globals to skip tempo, and I think we have a really big advantage because their team comp can only sit mid, which is kind of the Gravitas special. We've seen them only be able to sit mid, so if we hit the side waves, we should win really, really easily, I think.
Well, let's see if that is the case. Thank you so much for your time here, Sally, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Well, Rusty, what do we see there? We saw a little bit of early shenanigans with the level 1 attempt on towards Nect, and then the drive-by through mid as well, whilst we had the coach interview. Anything else in the meantime?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the exact clear of Zeus, but it didn't seem like he got a leash in the first place from Safa, who has flash top lane, by the way, and is basically dead. He was sitting in a bush at level 1 trying to maybe cheese Nectar as he came to lane. It didn't happen. And then pan over to the Lilia, who has 0 HP, doing this clear from red to the other side of the map. Doesn't even have the red buff. Raptors, Wolves, blue buff, Gromp, and literally is just a 0 HP Lilia losing the game, is in trouble now as well.
He certainly is. He's going to get hit by multiple lay waste right now. In isolation as well, extra damage, feeling the burden of having to then sit mid and try and find himself a reset. And I think that was an interesting point that Sally brought up, right? The fact that, you know, Gravitas have been so reliant on playing through mid, and that they're definitely finding success in it already.
Yeah, I think it's clear to me, though, that the Karma is not as comfortable as they would like. There's a nice little trade happening in both lanes that we just quickly panned through. There was a lot of priority level 1, though, for Kyosei, I'll admit that much. You know, forcing early teleports, even now, because it is melee versus ranged, it's a difficult life to be Wei. At a certain point, though, and it could be like a point of perhaps a Hex Drinker, that maybe, you know, Nocturne becomes unkillable from the Karma, and then it's just a battle for priority. That's where things can turn back around for Mammoth. But at the same time, I think that the initial point that I raise here, in that Zeus just barely scrapes through his jungle, gave so much space to Jungle Man and Wei to make plays around the map. And while it doesn't give a kill or a strong advantage explicitly, it gives something back to Mammoth where they were being beaten down in mid lane.
Well, they certainly were, and I'm sure as a Carthus player, never going to complain if you find yourself up in tempo and find yourself a nice little lead like this one, able to stack up with those Dark Harvest procs as easily as possible and hit the level 6 all importantly. As we now see a top lane attempt on towards Nectar. He has no flash, already burnt it at the level 1 moment. He's looking to try and run back to his turret. Oh, Safa just survives. Both take a turret shot, but it is Gravitas that find first blood.
But what's Nectar doing, Skibby? He just cops a full Scion knock-up on the Q because he tries to auto-attack a keg inside the Q as it's charging. I mean, it's not exactly what you're wanting to see from your top laner in a lane that he was winning. You know, had the push, got the Sheen purchase, was able to control the 1v1. Not in a strong position now, as it gives over a kill to Zeus. And again, you know, this This Lilia was struggling a little bit, suddenly has a kill backing her up, and it's not as bad.
It's a nice little band-aid to make up to the fact that, as you say, Zeus had been targeted in these first initial minutes, and it does mean that Nectar loses out on a fair bit of CS as a result too, as that wave was crashed. He had already burnt TP and had to run back to the lane at the same time too. Not going to seem to stop Mammoth's aggression, however. They've got tabs as to where Zeus is. Jungleman's going to look to steal away as many of these chickens as possible. Vision locked down in the top half of this river, but it does mean that Gravitas, having priority bot side at least, can start up the first Drake here.
You are Sega level 6 with a mid laner here of Away, however, on this Nocturne, so opportunities will start to arise very soon, where he can get more active on the map. Jungleman, this Karthus, is the other person that you're going to look at. So it's a good little moment of opportunity here for Gravitas to sneak something away before Mammoth really feel like they want to or need to do anything. They're very comfortable, you would have to imagine, just sitting here and casually scaling up into the game. Ultimates is the first massive spike that they get as a comp, and then it's that first item completion where they start to really accelerate as well. A couple of pretty important level spikes in general also with this composition. Level 9 for instant wave clear for your Nocturne, same thing with Karthus for clear speeds, of course, but Gangplank 7 and 13 on those levels when the keg timers go down significantly is also going to be crucial for his laning phase.
Be interesting to note then, Rusty, if lane states will play as desirably as they can do theoretically, as we see that Wei continues to lag just a little bit behind in this mid lane matchup, and that's not to be too surprising, as Kiersey can look to retain a rather healthy health pool in his own regard, going for empowered Tevez, finding trades that net him health back, and really bully out Wei here, who's forced to then go for the reset. He's already burnt TP as well, so looking to see what he can converts those initial components into, but you can see that Kiersey's very clearly got his eyes set on being the utility, shoving out those waves, and then being able to then roam around the map to force these early objectives.
Yeah, he moves with Zeus there as well. They throw down the Swell Seed, they clear out mid lane with Lilia assisting Kiyose, so they are going to look towards going straight for the objective. It could have been a free reset there for the Karma, but obviously your initial concern is the Herald free, not am I going to reset at the same time as an objective being done, because that's definitely sinning. You can also see the full map flip here from Gravitas, so it is ultimately free, and it does make you feel like, in retrospect, Karma could have got base off. At the same time, the thing that I want to talk about here, Skimmy, is the lack of magic resistance for Wei in that mid lane. He's been suffering from it. Now he goes back to base and gets those boots that we all know and love that are just OP at the moment, the boots of Lucidity.
They certainly are, and what's also OP is when a side can get collapsed upon like that in a 1v4 and just ult back to the safety of his second turret.
Yeah, I mean, Nocturne Ultimate used wasn't going to follow that one. That would be inting. So we'll just go back towards mid lane, and the point that I want to make beyond what I just said is that no magic resistance means that he does suffer. It's nice wave clear, actually.
Yeah, it's a really good wave clear. That's going to trim this wave incredibly, making the 1v3 a little bit harder to try and pull off. The aggro gets juggled around. The Featherstorm drops it as it was focused on Piglet, and Gravitas topped up and healthy. They repeat a gank topside, and it proves to be successful.
And look at the trade on the other side, right? It was a Nocturne ultimate wasted for a Scion ultimate who gets away with his entire life. He's now down there farming the wave happily and clearing that one. So at the end of the day, that's still a win for the side of Gravitas. Herald also going to be summoned. That'll be close to the turret dropping. Bard's going to say absolutely not. That is why you pick a Bard a lot of the time at the moment. It's going to deny that one, but still it's a lot of priority, right? It's still a kill. It's still waves being missed in their entirety from Nectar. And time having to be spent resetting and swapping your lane assignments for Kanade and Shifrit. So still a win for Gravitas.
Certainly is. And what's also worth noting is the fact that despite it being a win, Jungleman's had a good opportunity to really accelerate his own individual lead, up by now 40 CS. No doubt going to be looking to get that first item on lockdown as quickly as possible. And then it becomes interesting to the sort of mental warfare, the moment for Mammoth to execute upon as to when they decide, look, this is the objective we're fighting for. No doubt with a composition like this, which has so much close quarter strength, the like of contesting Drake's inheritance as this game goes on becomes that much more desirable. So maybe quite content, giving across these early ones to Gravitas and saying with a couple of items under our belt, that's when we, find our moment to shine.
Oh, we absolutely hit a point where a Karthus is going to be unstoppable, where a Gangplank can teamfight successfully, even if he's 0-2. Nice little spell shield there from Wei. Is it going to stop himself from being knocked up? But at the end of the day, you know, like while we're complimenting Gravitas and saying it's great that the Lilia's got those 2 kills and has been active on the map, they're keeping him up with a Karthus, and then they're already winning in mid lane with priority. They've been stifling Nectar and his advantages. Mistakes have cost him his life. And the AD carry of Piglet and Azaya have been doing a lot of work in their own right, getting turret plates. So they are still very comfortably ahead. There is the one concern, 100%, of what will Jungle Man do on this Karthus, and, you know, will he 1v9? But so far, so good.
So far, so good indeed. As now they look to poke their head into this one, and without Cannon Barrage, it's really up to Nectar to decide, do I TP into this one or not? Mammoth sniffing, but questions still raised as to whether or not they'll decide to commit instead. Out goes the Temper Fate, does not connect. TP's connecting on instead. There's the Paranoia, and as he jumps in looking for the one shot, he's going to force out a flash, and then they connect. They take it out of Zeus. Damage has already been done, though, because that Dragon has already been acquired. Safford with the fancy feet, looking to try and buy as much time as he can before he goes into the afterlife. Kyose flashing across the wall, the Requiem popping off, but the heal, it just seems to be insane right now. It's keeping them topped up and healthy. Now the 2 supporting members of Gravitas locked underneath their own bot tier 1. But the rotational strength that Mammoth have here is just so damn clean. And he, Azaya, very upset they didn't find a 1v2 there.
Kyose's trying his absolute best, but he is running out of mana. So unfortunately with that last Mantra Q, has nothing left to give. Shifrit is slow, however, and the Karma may just be able to run and execute. So you're looking at Jungle Man now to snatch this one up, and unfortunately if it goes to the Karthus, Mammoth are happy. Yeah, they give it to him as well. Oh no.
Well, it was a scrappy team fight, and it was a scrappy disengage as well. A situation where Azaya pops the Ignite, nearly takes out Nectar. One more tick of the damage would have done it, but he is able to live. And just out of turret range as well, you can see what he's doing, going for the knock-up to try and hit the 1v2 underneath turret aggro. But this is how it starts first and foremost. Gravitas securing the Drake before it goes Knights out.
Yeah, and they basically just immediately one-hit the Lilia, get her out of the fight, nothing you can do. You know, the fact that Karthus is the one who wants to fall in these skirmishes and is the one that goes down, perfect. Because now he can just press his ultimate. He still has the E on the ground as well, so his area of influence is huge. Safa stuck inside the pit means that he wasn't going to be able to help his team. At the end of the day, Mammoth, they win this fight with such a significant health advantage that they're able to walk through the turret just barely and get out with their lives. Close fight, Skimmy, but it goes the way of Mammoth, and that puts a big question mark on this game for Gravitas.
Certainly does. Big 50-50 in the flip. In the end, works in their favor. You can see from the predictions there just how close this game seems to be. It's pretty much echoing the same thoughts that we have here. Sure, pound for pound, we think that Gravitas should have the lead, but by no means is it as clear-cut as we make it out to be, because Mammoth are renowned for doing things like this, throwing curveballs in the draft, and they've done it again here because they've got the globals, and now they are the ones in the driving seat.
And you know, the thing is, that fight could have been even better for them, Skimmy. Like, looking at that one, the Bard ultimate being used before the Nocturne ultimate. It lasts like 8 seconds of darkness, so just turn the lights out before you chuck the Bard ult. A bit of extra comms there 1 second earlier, and maybe they don't even get to dodge that one. Now imagine your Gravitas in that situation, because they didn't even use Summoners to dodge the Tempered Fate.
Numbers mismatch. Could definitely be a decider here as we've transitioned. The mid lane is up to the top side of the map. It's worth noting that Zeus is working his way towards what could be a bit of a lane gank with Wei down to 50%. He has no flash, but he does have an ultimate to get out of harm's way. There's the curtain call. Overlap there with the Cannon Barrage, looking to try and lock down that half of the map. And that might just be Mammoth bullying their way into the river to say, we want this next Herald.
Yeah, it was also used with the Tempered Fate from Kanade. You know, one of the big things there is a Jhin Bard combo. You actually just Bard ult the front line, so the Jhin ult hits the back line. They get a flash from Piglet. They do secure the Herald for this as well. That was a lot of ultimates used though, so they need to be respectful for the present moment once Gravitas get back onto the map, because they don't have everything that they would like.
They don't have everything that they would like right now, as their bot lane is now being deployed mid to hold off this wave and deter an early Herald summoning. As Jungleman finds himself now with the Leandries and 5 stacks on that Dark Seal as well. We starting to get into scary territory here. He's continued that massive lead in the jungle camp clear. And with these items, he will be ripping through the ranks. The most gold in this game, and a Karthus with a lead is always a scary prospect to consider.
100%. Of course, we're starting to get some resets across now from both respective teams. You've got the Dragon in 40 where all the vision went. This is pretty standard stuff, of course. Place all the wards that you can. They're going to now reset with enough time to get back to the Dragon. Because if you place your wards as the Dragon spawns and, say, Mammoth in this case, push Gravitas out, then you don't have the ability to reset that vision control and you lose it as Nocturne.
And he's looking for the hunt right now. He hits the fear. Out comes the Red Queen. Can he pixel perfect it with the Feather Storm? He doesn't even have to. The shields come on out and everybody's protected. Empowered Karma is absolutely insane here. Wait! He survives the Ignite just once again, needing one more tick. But he's out the fight now, and with the Dragon spawning, that's surely Gravitas put themselves on soul point.
Yeah, and it's an Infernal Soul at that, so this is not something that Mammoth want to consider giving up lightly. You can see the teleport comes in from Wade. They'll be here in time to fight. Not a lot of ultimates there at all, just the Jhin. I'm not sure they can even get in here.
Very hard right now, as you can see, Sapper playing goalkeeper, zoning away. Down goes the Wall of Pain, looking to try and zone these members. Dragon still engaged at 1900 HP. Massive sleep onto multiple members. There's the shutdown, the jungler's gone. Jungleman is dead.
They smited it.
They're still looking at this one. It could just get stolen away, and it certainly does because Jhin is OP. Jhin finds it with those massive auto attacks. And Gravitas say, why do we get bullied off that one? We'll chase you down. We'll pick up a salvage by taking out Kanade, but a bit of a blip on the radar there, Rusty.
At 1100 roughly HP, Skimmy, Zeus smited the Dragon for health. I don't know if the Karma didn't have a shield or something. I know he was ignited, so he was afraid of dying. And obviously you want to be alive instead of dead. But then, I mean, a Jhin just walks up and snags away the entire Dragon and says, thank you very much for the easiest leash of my life. And they managed to get this one. I'm very interested to watch this one again because it was a good sleep from a Zeus. The commit to following up with damage afterwards comes back to hurt. Karma already uses Mantra Q and misses it, the support Karma build. Maybe you want a Mantra E in that situation instead, so you'll regret that one. Sleep was good, but again, look at Zeus's health. There's no way he dies there. That's 1100 after Smite. What is he doing? That was a sole point for them if he doesn't do that.
It's a big question because I think if we look at the first half of that clip, he's tanking the Dragon the entire time, putting himself in a situation where he feels, I have to do this. And as you say right now, given that Mammoth continue to creep into these team fights and keep this game as close as they are, you know, they've definitely got scaling to consider and talk about. That situations like that, you hope that you had that Infernal Soul to play for. Now, a two-man dive, top sides, gets put to sleep, but he'll go golden, and he might just bait out a little bit more attention here from Gravitas as 4 members rock up top side, soon to be 5, just to keep this Karthus locked down and dead.
Yeah, they make sure, Jungleman makes sure that he has no mana to speak of for himself. Will most likely, ooh, this might get it. Too many shields, wow, that was so absurd.
Kind of crazy.
Just surviving, wow. Okay, and also on the opposite side of the map here, Skimmy, while it doesn't result in a kill, it will just be a turret take, and you have to look at Mammoth pushing towards the bot lane in a turret, getting the blue buff for Shifrit as well. So they are getting money into their pockets. At the end of the day, it's a soft advantage to Gravitas, maybe not anymore.
Not anymore, no. That is the greed that has punished the Zeus. He's tried to catch up here to this Karthus. Both junglers gone now. Top side is doomed, it's cursed. And Wei will very gratefully pick up that solo kill.
We're hitting the point in this game, Skibby, where you can safely say that this is a battle of the 1-9 teams. And this brings up a point of discussion that I think I want to have, but I don't want to focus on it too much, is what do we call this competition? Because we've had this before the show started. I think Battle of the Blue Shells is a good way to explain it, but if there's better options out there, then please tweet them at us. I am not reading Twitch chat, so please tweet them at us instead. Because I value those opinions much more, and if you've got something better than Battle of the Blue Shells, I'll gracefully accept it. Put it in Twitch chat, not getting it.
It's not going to be seen unless Mac or Nat see it and decide to bring it onto the broadcast. But regardless, as you say, it's unorganized chaos, I think is a polite way to put it. There's a lot happening at once right now, and it's funding the idea that, well, if a global comp can get all this power then you start to run the risk of, well, what happens in these side lanes? That is the area we thought could be focused, and if you're finding kills like that right now, it can only go from bad to worse.
Wei definitely wants to have a crack at Kyosei, but finds out that maybe it isn't worth it. Doesn't have a lot of sustain for himself going for the Stride Breaker build. Very useful though for making sure that the tether connects and the fear hits. But right now, again, like very easy for Kyosei to just continue to have that lane control. Highlighted this very briefly before, but you're against the magic damage mid laner and jungler. No Magic Mantle wouldn't go astray in some kind of itemization there, just to ensure you can continue to clear, like, you know, one extra wave without being at risk of dying. But we'll continue to be forced out of lane 20 minutes in. And we have this weird setup, Skimmy, where Karma without teleport and with a support build has been side laning. So this is the first time it's more normal.
Does feel a little bit horrendous at the same time, though, given that you won't have that typical AP burst. You do want to stick to your team. Nice little shove away there from Stafford to ensure that that scuttle works in their favor, as the next dragon will be spawning in 30 seconds. And this is one that they want to guarantee. They gave away the last one. This could have been their sole point. And there goes the Paranoia. Here's the Global Comp. That's the Tempered Fate. Two members locked in place. They can't do much about this one. There is the massive damage coming from the two AD threats. GP and Jin working overtime so far. They'll be the two to pick up the kills. Out comes the Requiem. There's the Magical Journey. They're looking for a team fight wipe, and they are just trying to do as much as they can. But Rakan is smurfing. He hits the 3-man knock-up, and that could be the turn of fate that works in Piglet's favor. He's taking Jules one by one. He falls on down to a lay waste, but he gets a triple kill when the fight looks so doomed against them.
Yeah, Piglet comes up huge. You know, taking the Magical Journey into the pit means that it's very easy for a Rakan Xayah combo to start to pop off. And to be honest, they do through the entire team fight as well. So very much give credit to Piglet and to Xayah as that fight is happening, and we'll get to see it in the replay. But at the end of the day, man, there's just too much damage on the side of Mammoth. We'll see this fight one more time. You know, Nocturne ultimate this time comes in before the Tempered Fate. Jin ultimate comes out, the curtains are open. Sion comes in to try and help for sure, but as the feathers get returned, you can see that's where a lot of the damage starts to come in for the Wei of Gravitas. Not enough for kills though. They try and disengage here, but because everybody goes through the Magical Journey, you know, it's a free opportunity for the cooldown resets of Xayah and Piglet to make sure they get some trades. A triple for the Xayah, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be anything more in their way.
Won't be, but it is a bit of an insight into how dramatic some of these fights can be, and especially if they redeploy into the map and find out a Bard like such. 23 minutes into this one, they've had to sacrifice two of these dragons to delay their sole point, but with a pick like that, they might be playing around ultimate timers here, Rusty, and saying we're going straight towards Baron. Yeah,
will they be able to do this without Mammoth coming to the area? You know, Wei's had very advanced notice of this. They are starting to push in. It's already at 6,000 health. Engage fails, Skibby. I think they're going to commit to a fight.
Good spell shield. Out comes the Paranoia. The curtain has been called once again. Who's the focus? They've jumped into the back line. It's the Cannon Barrage as well, overlapping every big major ultimate to try and find any kind of success that they can. Wei falls on down. He doesn't find a key target. Gravitas can disengage straightway to the top side of the map, but it will be a 1-for-1 as Gravitas will lose their front line.
Yeah, no real advantage gleamed from that situation overall. Mammoth respond to the attempt at the Baron. It's a Sion that goes down. Safa still has that teleport, however, and as does Wei. So really, it's just 300 gold, or and some loose change going into the pockets of both respective teams. There is a massive Xayah to contend with. There is still a big Jin, even though he's only 1-0-7. Has those two items completed. Serpent's Fang also online.
Yeah.
Against the Sion, against the Karma, and against the Rakan. So that is money right there in a single item. We'll be able to do a lot of work for his team. It has been facilitating, right? Like, you've got a Nocturne diving, Karthus going and dealing damage. Get rid of those shields and they'll all do better as well for it.
Yeah, just trying to make it as easy as possible that, when somebody like Wei goes in, that they do guarantee that first kill to try and open up the floodgates and hit the snowball switch, play from there. We saw how important it is to have Kanade amongst the mix of things when that Paranoia goes out to lock in place those key members, because it was so easy for Gravitas just to sidestep out, disengage the Cannon Barrage, and force major ultimates to not really eke up to much impact.
Yeah, you need to survive that one punch, right? Like, if Mammoth come at you, they're going to use most of their ultimates in that first little bit of action. Nocturne ult, followed by Bard, followed by Jin. Karthus is probably the person who'll be saving his ultimate just because he tends to want to die first. But if you survive that initial punch and the cost is low, then you are poised to fight. You are poised to team fight, because Mammoth do want to make sure that all happens in one moment and they win, or have such a large health advantage that you're afraid of a Karth assault.
No, Karth assault's only going to get scarier by the moment right now as he's working his way towards a Void Staff. Both junglers, worth noting, do have a completed Zonias, so we'll be looking to try and be as aggressive as possible with their positioning to land as much damage output as possible. Here says Sapper, just drifting on through the mid lane to say hi.
Bud?
Maybe saying, not the plan here, guys, as he just falls on down for free. Out goes the Nocturne ult, and then they guarantee a charm to try and connect on towards Wade. The instant punishment between both key engagement members on either side of the coin. Big ultimates, massive range, and ultimately it's Nectar that pops the squishy here, as they might now turn their attention onto the next major threat in towards Piglet, who tries to sidestep with the Gale Force. They dash him through. The Lullaby's just too little too late. 3 members put to sleep, but it's the Zeus versus the world. He swings the staff, he picks up one, but he falls on down. And because Jungle Man is still alive, maybe they decide to assert control of this Baron.
I have no idea what Safa was doing at the start of that fight. He ults in, his whole team says, good attempt, let's disengage. And Safa just puts the blinders on, jumps into the horse race and starts sprinting towards Mammoth. And they're like, sick, like, we'll still take a free kill. He seems to have lost track of his team. And Gravitas just end up losing the fight to the ability to chase them down. And that was with Wei trying to join Safa in the death pit straight after. So just watch the rest of Gravitas. They're like, it'll do. Where are you going, man? Nothing is there for you. He's just gonna die. Teleport comes in, right? Wei's like, this is a good opportunity. And then unfortunately for him, the person he chooses to ult is a Rakan that dashes back to the rest of the team. So he's going to die. And this is all Nectar's keg that does most of the work here. Because if Piglet doesn't take that chunk of health, maybe they stand resilient, or maybe they fight. At the end of the day, nice little Bard stun from Kanade to hit that home, but Nectar does bulk of the work there in terms of damage output. And Mammoth, now in the driver's seat.
They certainly are. They're up by 4,000 gold as a result right now. You're just seeing that they are able to find moments, sometimes gifted to them, that they're able to get away with murder. Take away dragons, get free kills, put out as much damage as possible. Sephiroth's going again right there, knocks up 2. The map goes lights out once again. Shy for it, he's done what he can. He's taken out the tank, but the dragon has been picked up. Still, no soul point to talk about, but it's Gravitas on the disengaged back foot, popping off shields, mitigating damage, trying to survive this Requiem. One member gets popped, but the other member's down to 50%. Nectar down to 10% himself, but Shyfer can just flash on top of their head, look to try and hit that stun. He goes golden. But Mammoth are literally running down the opposition here.
Shyfrick goes from a 107 scoreline to 5-0 and 11. He's now unstoppable with a 600 gold shutdown. Baron was secured by Mammoth earlier, and they win a team fight for it. Now, they don't necessarily win the dragon, right? It's a dragon soul point for Gravitas, so you take that if you're Gravitas, but the cost is so high here that it will be an inhibitor at least, and they're going to threaten the bot lane inhibitor as well.
Huge turn of events right there. Just the late game impact of team fights that go your way. That's going to be one inhibitor falling on down. They're going to break open to expose a second in the bottom half of the map as well. And Baron buff just proves to be so critical with allowing them to open up this map and really continue this global dominance.
Yeah, we'll see this fight one more time. Safa does go for the ultimate in. Does actually get the knock up onto multiple members. But at the same time, the rest of his team is committing to the Drake. So he tries to flash back towards them, and it dies to an auto attack from the Jhin. So unfortunate flash there, coming out of Safa on that side. Piglet trying to do bulk of the damage here, times his ultimate well with the Karthus to try and deny that damage, but a flash from Nectar, the crits from the Jhin and from the Gangplank proved to be too powerful. And the rest of it's just flanking. They're routing Gravitas. They're trying to keep them down and make sure no one survives. And only the Rakan does.
And this seems to be the big sore point right now for Gravitas Rusty, that, you know, they don't have the liberty of the same range that Mammoth do. So if they aren't winning the fight, if they are forced to disengage, they're going to lose on that foot as well. And you're seeing it from the disengage attempts where Mammoth can run them down, can continue to find success and say, well, if we couldn't get you in the first place, we can get you in this vein instead. That's going to put them in a pretty commanding position here in the 30-minute mark, as you're starting to find major CS leads in all the right places, especially from start to finish here in the jungle department. And with Karthus having now completed that Void Staff, he's got 10 stacks for the now upgraded Majias. He definitely seems to be the focus, and you had to then throw your attention to the opposite side and say, do we have enough resistance to survive this? Are we fully reliant now on these shields?
Oh, that hits 3.
Now they're actually going to flash away there because he thought the Feather Storm might have been enough to try and turn things around. That's a massive knockup with the 3 as a result. Mammoth turning things around, but Gravitas doing even better. That's the Piglet show. He hits the Feather Storm, then he runs across to the side and hits a triple kill with the recall. We thought that maybe Mammoth had served them up too much of a defeat situation, but Piglet shows up when it matters most.
I mean, Piglet's feeling himself. You can say that through most of this game as well, but you have to give credit where it's due to his partner in crime, Isaiah, down there. That Rakan engage was dirty. Incredible stuff going out of Gravitas to turn that one around. But again, you know, Nocturne ultimate was used, Bard ultimate was used. You have to think about what we spoke about before, right? The cost of the engage from Mammoth, if it's unsuccessful, opens the door to a squad like Gravitas to pick you apart. That's the first real example we've seen of it going completely wrong for Mammoth. And as a result, Gravitas save their inhibitor. They get a triple kill for the Xayah as well. Nocturne ultimate gone, Bard ultimate gone, just like that. Xayah sniffs the moment, finds the moment.
Oh, so good.
You've got the Scion follow-up. You've got Piglet there pulling those feathers back as well, and that's just lights out for Mammoth. No chance in that fight.
Fighting on top of a cannon barrage as well, but that did not seem to phase them whatsoever. The punishment potential is absolutely beautiful and literally ties into our point from before. Long range versus short range, but if Gravitas can pull the trigger, if they can get on top of you like that, then they will come out ahead. And I suppose now we run ourselves back into the same situation as we have before of waiting for these major objectives to take place once again, and the ease of execution and the ability to pop off five mechanical moments like that again. Wade jumping on through. Forced to dash away, holds onto his flash. The map is still dark. But that is one major CD, burnt before the objectives have spawned.
I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to Wei there, and that he might have just been had by vision. But he might have thought he had a pick. He didn't have a pick, and he immediately regretted that one and just stride break it to safety. No summoners used. So ultimately it was just a Nocturne ultimate, but that's the kind of thing that you want, because that makes the Bard ult easier to hit. You know, that makes the double keg setups a lot easier as well. So now that's missing. Gravitas with the inside track to the soul point for Infernal Soul. Piglet, full build by the way, Skimmy. This could be the fight that decides the game.
Certainly could be. Worth noting that there are stopwatches across the board right now to try and buy themselves that game-deciding turn of events. That's Sephiroth jumping in, hits the one-man knock-up, looking for the Q, knocks up 3, out goes Piglet, pops the Featherstorm, massive shield on top of him right now. He's untouched. They go golden. He's fleeing, but he's running back. He's kiting. He's doing whatever he can. He finds the first kill. Then the ultimate comes out on top of him. He's got the GA. He's hoping it pops after the Requiem, and it certainly does. It's a double kill here for Zeus. Ooh. Nobody from Gravitas has died until that moment there. Shy for it jumps on with the Gale Force and kills Secure to get himself a shutdown. Safa still, meanwhile, is tanking up the world and more. He might just go through this portal and say, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. See you later. Takes them down. And once again, Rusty, absolute chaos here on the Rift.
Yeah, there's no other way to explain it. It's just madness. The team fight breaks out. The Dragon will be looked at after, and it's going to be the Infernal Soul point going the way of Gravitas. They've locked it down. And it was a big team fight from all of the auxiliary members of Gravitas. You know, Piglet starts this one off getting caught by a Bard ultimate. He also then gets hit by a full keg combo from Nectar here, who's set up to maybe hit 3 of them, but just settled for the Piglet one. Massive shield from Karma. The QSS able to be used. They cleanse him, they heal him with Redemption. They keep him alive for so long that multiple members of Mammoth fall before they even get a chance to pick apart this Xayah. That's the Gravitas composition shining through. And unfortunately for Gravitas, a flash forward with the Gale Force means that the Jhin will get it, but at the same time signs his own death warrant from that move. Of course, there is the Infernal Soul, so it's not going to be a lot of distance covered by that magical journey, and eventually Kanade falls.
A lot to digest there, really, Rusty. It's literally every player showing up, doing whatever they can to try and turn the tide of that fight in their favor. And as we fade out from this replay and go back to live, you can see that it is now Mammoth saying we've had to sacrifice across that Infernal Soul. That is the damage buff that they were hoping for. We really wish that we had that, but if the game continues at this pace where we are continuing to trade objective by objective, then maybe there's an angle for us to consider Elder. Worth noting that those inhibitors that they took earlier in the game have now respawned, so Waves can be pushed in Gravitas' favor, but it's a case of can they push out quick enough to lay vision on this Baron?
Mammoth have started this as well, so this is going to be fully known by Gravitas. They're going to disengage, so a cute little attempt, I suppose. I could do this all day, Skimmy. The longer this game goes, the happier we all are, I think. It's delivered.
Certainly has. It's matched the hype that we put into it right now as Sepha charges into the backline, hits the two-man knockup. Out goes the Paranoia once again. The Requiem, they've all stacked it together. Look how big the shields are. So much damage nullified there by Gravitas. The Cannon Barrage try and prevent the disengage, but everybody is topped up and stacked up as the squads. They've lost two. Now the sleep comes out and Gravitas press forward. The Gale Force aggressively on towards Jungle Man. He gets sent back into the afterlife and he's already burnt those crucial ultimates. And Mammoth, they're out of juice in the tank.
Yeah, it does feel like they've been outscaled by the composition of Gravitas, which, you know, again, you've got the farming Karthus, you've got the Jhin, and you've got the Gangplank. A lot of scaling factors, but it's no support Karma shielding that's just going to completely counter you out. You know, the fact that they're able to win these team fights, Piglet's having the game of his life right now, but he's been supported by some of the best support efforts from Isaiah and from Kyosei that we've seen in some team fights. So Gravitas going insane. They really found their groove. Mammoth do gift that opportunity to them. They give them a couple chances to win a team fight, and they do eventually win it, and that was all it took for Gravitas. Now it's going to be the Baron. It's going to be the Infernal Soul. We'll see this one more time as it's Nectar that gets caught. Has to eat his greens, eat his oranges, get himself out, and then Wei tries to go in. Instead of just pressing his ultimate and scaring them, the Karthus ultimate could be used as a deterrent. Wei decides that there is no other choice. He's Lee Sin hitting the Q. His mind might say no, but he with no hesitation commits to that one. Jungle Man just going to follow on the back end of this one also. As the Piglet respectfully says, I don't need the kill, someone else have it. I already have 6 items.
Yeah, he's fully stacked up. The strongest we've seen an AD carry in a long time right now, given the fact that a lot of these games have been rather quick. We're fast approaching the 40-minute mark here, and we've only had a game once.
He's done it, Skimmy. He's done it. 38 minutes in, he's got his Infinity Edge's Jhin. He's on the board. He might deal damage. Is this the moment?
It's a little bit rough when you see a Jhin getting that as the final item in the build. It's a bit of a head-scratcher, to say the least. But is it his time to shine now, Rusty?
I don't think it will be, but he's got it. That's what matters. They're going to lose another inhibitor. Another inhibitor will be lost, more specifically. Top lane looking to be traded. You can see that Mammoth have said, we're really not winning team fights anymore. They've conceded that reality, and it's a split push attempt from Wei to distract them. But the inhibitor's already fallen. The reset's available. I do believe we will get ourselves to an Elder Dragon fight in this game. And I will say that now that the Infinity Edge is there, that Jhin 4th shot will do more than any smite possibly could. He could definitely just secure that one, as that was the magical journey of a lifetime. Definitely not where they wanted that one to go as a Bard player, Skimmy, I can tell you that much.
Worth noting, we've only had 2 games so far, all split long. Only 2 games where Elder Dragons have spawned. But we may be getting a 3rd here today. Up in a minute, up and available. Full items, as you touched on already, in the AD carry department. But all the power in the world now looking trying to be unlocked here for both teams. You're just starting to see elixirs in their inventory.
The GA will presumably be back and available for Piglet in this next fight. I'm worried that I feel like he has enough gold to sell his boots and get like a Lord Dominic's. I swear he had before. But I feel like he has enough for that. You know, we spoke about the IE itemization, so same thing's true on the other side. A couple of changes could be made, but another inhibitor is inevitably going to drop while the Baron persists till right now.
Min-max to a T, and as they do that, Mammoth look to try and trade and respond like they did only moments prior by going straight back towards topside. Wei crashing another wave, looking to try and lay down the damage on towards this turret and at least trade evenly here so they buy themselves all that important time. Trading mid for top. Exposing the base, and with TPs available, maybe giving themselves a potential out here if they can backdoor.
He wants to stay top, Skimmy, so he really wants to test the waters here. Note that you've got your Elder Dragon up in 5 seconds, and Gravitas could just start it if they chose. Nocturne ult and teleport coming in.
Yeah, he's TP'd, as you say, looking to try and cause a little bit of panic. Tempered Fate goes on out onto the Piglet. He's the key member. Buffers the Featherstorm. He's so safe. disengaging out of all the damage thrown his way. They find the kill. There's the GA proc right now into Nocturne, disengaging, kiting, peeling and protecting. They're doing everything. He flashes forward aggressively into the face of danger. He doesn't care. The GA is there. And they have found the wipe that they are after. Scheifert, you've got the IE, but you just can't do enough when your team is dead around you. They're TPing to the base. They want to wrap this game up and put a bow on it at 41 minutes.
Yeah, Zaya could maybe just keep the Jhin busy, but easy as you like now, Gravitas. They'll be able to walk towards the Nexus and end this one. The absolute Chad gameplay monster of Piglet with the support. 3-1-25 for Zaya. He's my MVP. Gravitas, they will get the win. Never in doubt, Skivvy.
Never in doubt. You heard it from the interview before the game. He said, we are the better team. We are the better players. We should be winning this game. And that they do. They keep their playoff streams alive. And unfortunately for Mammoth, the composition today, unable to find its mark.
That was a real wild one. Looking forward to the high-tier analysis from our host of the show, Skivvy, just to really hear what he could say about it and what the difference makers were. God, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, look, loved it. Loved every single moment. You know, it was action straight down the middle. Lots of chasing. Big marathon to kill Kiyose there down on the bot lane when he was running away from his base. Last-ditch effort to try and survive at that point. And look, it looked good for Mammoth. They got up a few times, and then when they did have the power spikes, they did have the leads, all of a sudden, it was just things getting turned on its head. Every time they tried to siege, it didn't really work out for Mammoth and Gravitas. You know, it was just, there was a point where Piglet was just like, you know what, screw it, just gonna run in, absolutely farm you blokes up, and he did an immaculate job of doing so, Skimmy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of those early fights working in their favor. I think the risk for them is they're fighting far too many times in open areas where their wombo combo just wasn't working in their favor. Maybe clumping up too much as a result, as you can see beautifully here. Azaya really smurfing and allowing Piglet to look as good as he did in this series and show up when it mattered most. But, you know, a lot of mess, a lot of chaos, a lot of situations where it really could honestly have gone in Mammoth's favor, but the mitigation between the Locket, the Karma Shields, the Moonstone, everything and more buying them multiple moments to survive and turn the tides in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, the resilience of Mammoth, of Gravitas is definitely worth noting, but the resilience of the players as well as the composition for me is what stood out, right? Like Gravitas with that one punch type of comp where they wanted to press their R buttons and be successful, and then Gravitas were able to just stand, and like you mentioned, Mac, there was a certain point where Piglet says, this is me, I'm just going to right-click the closest people at all moments, and you all better support me like you're meant to do, because I've got 6 items and that's how we win. And I believe this was that fight.
It was crazy as well. Like earlier on when Wei was just, you know, dropping the paranoia and just going straight into the middle of like 4 or 5 players, it was working. And then it just got to this point where he kind of became a bit obsolete. You know, the scaling obviously stumped him a little bit. And Gravitas's roster just looked that little bit better. But look, as you can say, resilience on both sides of the rift today. You know, both teams really wanted it. It just started to spiral out of control as it got deeper on there in the game.
Yeah, I think for me, Wei's going to be really frustrated at that game. Didn't go a little bit more according to plan for him. You know, multiple times where he was using his ultimate to try and dive the backline, but just didn't have the second man in command there to, you know, hold hands and try and take somebody down with him. So many moments where there was enough pressure, but it was coming in waves, right? There were burst chunks. There wasn't that consistent damage to really lock down. Because how many times do we see, you know, Piglet's HP bar fluctuate from, you know, 0 to 100 throughout a team fight? So he'll be frustrated and sort of relegated himself to split pushing duties to hope that maybe we can trade inhibitors and flip a fight at the end there.
Well, look, we do have another opinion to hear as well, and that, of course, is from the wonderful Nat. Let's bring Nat T back into the conversation. Nat, what are your thoughts on this matchup? It was bloody crazy watching that from the bleachers.
It was insane. I'm not going to lie, for a while there, I was a little bit worried about not having gone Mammoth, especially in the start there, and then, I don't know, Gravitas just really brought it back. Maybe they just found their confidence and really settled into the champs they picked.
Who do you have to chat to down on the sidelines, by the way?
Look, we spoke to Piglet before the game, and so even though he played absolutely amazingly, I picked the person who played probably just as amazingly for the post-game, and that is Azus.
Hello.
Congratulations on that win. You must be feeling so good. How are you?
Yeah. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. It was a rough game. Well, not a rough game. It was very long, but yeah, we won. Yeah.
Yes.
It was good.
I could only imagine the ups and downs you guys would have had during that game. So walk me through it from start to finish. How are you feeling and how are the communications in the team?
Communications was pretty good. Safa shot called a lot that game. I mean, props to Safa for that level 1. He came up with that on the spot to burn their flash. That was pretty crazy. Overall, comms are good. I mean, game was good. We have more of an identity now to like play more of a scale game, and that's basically what we looked forward to. Like, we realized that like, you know, we're not the best players. We can't close out early games, so just pick like a scale comp. You know, Sion becomes unkillable versus Jhin, and yeah, we just scaled and we ended up winning.
So it makes me question a little bit about the draft. Were you worried at all coming out of the draft, seeing what they had picked?
It was a little bit worrying because I saw them insta-lock Nocturne Karthus, and that is something that we just didn't have any preparation for. It was very random. However, we responded with Karma pick, which was really good because Karma overall counters Karthus in a way where she can build Redemption and just pretty much AoE shields. So later on in the game, we ended up being good for us. Even though they surprised us, it still was fine for us. We picked scale and we ended up winning. Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe, you know, you guys weren't prepared for it and you still put on an absolute show. I do want to ask, where was the turnaround point for you guys? Because, you know, it did seem pretty dire for a while there, and then all of a sudden you guys were just winning team fights left, right, and center.
Yeah, I agree. So the game looked really rough. Like, it looked really bad for us, and all the players were like a little bit, I'm not sure what's happening. But then the bot fight happened. I think they made a lot of mistakes, and we could have actually punished them way more, but we got a really big punish on that bot fight. And then after that bot fight, we honestly just kept on snowballing and snowballing and snowballing, and we started winning every fight. So probably the bot play was like pretty much the game turning mistake from them, which we caught on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seemed to be it, and you guys were disciplined enough to just keep that lead going. The last question I want to ask, though, is because you've won this, it means the playoff dream is still alive for you guys. There is still a chance to potentially make playoffs. But standing in your way is Chiefs, Direwolves, and Pentanet. How much confidence do you have in yourself to, you know, potentially win all three?
We're clapping all
okay.
teams, right? Look, my confidence is up the roof right now. Look, it's to the roof. We're gonna win all games from now on, okay? We just needed one win. It's how League works. You either lose all your games or you win all your games, okay? We're gonna win every game from now on.
This is it. This is the start of the win streak. Look, I am so happy to hear the confidence is up there with the Gravitas team.
You.
Congratulations again on that win, and I'm looking forward to the 3-0 next week then.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, there you have it. Gravitas going to be clapping those cheeks in the weeks to come. So good to see exactly how the end of the first split of LCO is going to go. And mate, I love that confidence. That's what we need from all these players, especially if we are going to look to upset teams of the likes of, you know, Pentanet. What's up?
I don't want to be that guy, but looking at Gravitas's road home, it is Chiefs, Direwolves, Pentanet. So the fact that their confidence is through the roof, I am happy for them. That's all I'll say.
That's it.
I am going to say, you know, Zeus, I feel like always came across a little reserved in our pre-game interviews, and to see him that post-game was such a turnaround. Like, I'm so happy for this win for them. Like, I think it really did mean more than like we'll ever know.
Well, look, that is very confident man, and a team filled with confident men is Pentanet, and they're going to be versing Chiefs after this break. So, ladies and gents, don't go too far. Final match of the night, which has potential to pop off, is coming up very shortly.
Getting a flash away there because he thought the Feather Storm might have been enough to try and turn things around. That's a massive knockout with the free as a result. Mammoth turning things around, but Gravitas doing even better. That's the Piglet show. He hits the Featherstorm. Panic Tempered Fate goes on out onto the Piglet. He's the key member. Buffers the Featherstorm. He's so safe. Disengaging out of all the damage thrown his way. They find the kill. There's the GA proc right now into Nocturne. Disengaging, kiting, peeling and protecting. They're doing everything. He flashes forward aggressively into the face of danger. He doesn't care. The GA is there. And they have found the wipe that they are after. Shy for it, you've got the IE, but you just can't do enough when your team is dead around you.